So I made a mistake in my last video, and I'll get to that in just a second. But before getting into that, let me address some of the, well, childish, immature, emotional sentiment on my last video. And that tends to happen when you rant. People just, respond in kind, but whatever. First of all, if you don't like the way I make my videos, that's your problem, right? This is what it is, and that's the way it's going to be. And we're just going to leave it at that. Um, then there's a lot of dishonesty, and not a lot, there's some dishonesty, and just the people who tend to disagree. The one thing that is pervasive and unifying theme amongst them is the inability to make an argument, right? I mean, what the fuck? How did you convince yourself of your right, you being right, when you can't even make a fucking argument? Clearly, it wasn't arguments that convinced you, right? It was your feelings, right? So grow up. Anyway, this idea that some lady left a comment that anyone who disagrees with me is a Putin stooge. Where did I say that? Right? A Putin stooge is someone who just spews back Russian propaganda without questioning, right? Uh, uh, that's a Putin stooge, right? It's all fine and good to acknowledge Western propaganda, right? But everything that comes out of Russian media is just God's truth or something. You're a Putin stooge if this is what you believe, right? And, you know, the people that like to consider themselves on the right, right? Like Trump supporters or whatever the case. I mean, you guys are constantly. See, you come over here and you say that I'm all over the place when my values haven't changed, right? War is wrong. Killing people is wrong, right? I've talked about this on and on and on and on, right? Sometimes I change my mind about certain things when new information comes in, or when I ponder things more. Yeah, I change my mind, but my values have pretty much remained constant, right? You're the one who's all over the place, right? Because look, on the one hand, you're pro, let's say Trump, right? A strong, no nonsense leader who doesn't take BS from anybody, right? How do you think Trump would have acted in this situation, right? Well, he'd be doing exactly what Biden is doing right now, sending support to Ukraine, right? Because you don't fuck with America, you don't fuck with NATO, right? He was a strong leader. That's what he would have done. Maybe even more so, sent even more help, right? Just because he was buddy buddy with Putin, right? What that was all about is having an ally, right, to go against Russia. Like it's going to be very difficult to go against Russia and China, right? So you want to befriend, if you will, right? You want to work with Putin and use them against Russia, obviously, right? So Trump believed that you had to take a certain course of action and deal with Russia in a certain way, and he was a little bit, you know, buddy buddy, I guess you could say, with Putin, right? But at the same time, right? Why didn't Putin invade Ukraine under Trump? Because you know what Trump's response would have been, right? He's a strong leader, and he would have acted like a strong leader, right? And that was the right's view at the time, right? But now that Biden, who's supposed to be weak, and whatever, it's not even him who's in charge. I know, but Biden is doing basically. Uh, I think Trump's response would have been slightly different, but in the same direction, right? You don't fuck with America, period. That's it, right? But now that Biden is doing what Trump would have done, more or less, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're exactly the same. Oh, it's wrong, right? Why? Because he's supposed to be a weak leader, or is it because what we know what this is all about? It's political football. You've chosen a team, and it doesn't matter whether your team are hypocrites or whatever. You're just gonna go with your team. You're gonna cheer for your team, right? That's how people think, right? So, and this sort of phenomenon is seen when it comes to the news media, right? Whatever Fox says, I agree with usually, uh, and then whatever CNN, MSNBC, and all these other shows say, well, it's all wrong, right? All of it is wrong, right? Turkey earthquake didn't happen. That's all a lie. Anything that you see on BBC, all of it is a lie, right? There is no Turkey earthquake, right? The sun doesn't rise in the east. It doesn't set in the west, right? There's no war in Ukraine. It's all a lie, right? The fuck, right? Uh, Liars don't lie all the time, right? Liars sometimes tell the truth. So, yeah, the same people who supposedly were, in favor of, making America great again and this great leader, Trump, how strong America, strong leader, yada, yada, motherfucking yada, right? Manly man, all this other fucking nonsense, right? Now they're all fans of John Mearsheimer, right? The former Council on Foreign Relations, right? Which is a globalist think tank, right? They're huge fans of a frail, old, scared little man, right? Oh no, we can't stand up to Russia because they have nuclear weapons, and I'm scared. I'm scared of. I live in fear of nuclear war. Ooh, right? That's like the weakest possible position America could take, right, on this whole conflict. That's John Mearsheimer, right? So you motherfuckers went from a strong, manly man, no nonsense leader, right? Because the right is, I don't know, whatever, right? That's the political right. That's who we are, right? We're so rational, manly, and strong, and all this other fucking nonsense. And then now you're sucking off John Mearsheimer, right? A frail, old, scaredy little man whose policy recommendations Trump would have fucking laughed at, right? That's a Putin stooge, John Mearsheimer, right? John Mearsheimer, who says it doesn't matter what you think, right? The only thing that matters is what Russia thinks, right? Sounding like a fucking U.S. Communist Party member from 1950s or something like that, right? You went from Trump is fighting the globalist to sucking off a CFR globalist think tank former member who's all about globalism, obviously, right? Who's all about the New World Order, obviously. Okay, so going, so you motherfuckers don't make any sense. You don't have any values. You just play on a certain fucking team and you act like and look, I ain't shit. We all know this, right? But you act like some kind of fucking uh, geopolitical wizard and amazing political analyst who you know everything about who runs the world and the Rothschilds and blah, blah, and I'm not saying that Rothschilds aren't important, right? That they don't have clearly they have a lot of power, right? But it's not just them. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not even telling you who it is. I don't fucking know, right? But you got this fucking shadow government, right? CFR shill, shadow motherfucking coming straight out of libtard Chicago, right? University of Chicago. All of a sudden, that's the right's political right's best friend, weak, frail, all scaredy ass little man, who's just saying it doesn't matter what you think. Everything. The only thing that matters is what Russia thinks. You're a bunch of fucking commies. It's an oversimplification, hyperbole, but you get the point, right? You're a bunch of fucking fascist, Nazi scum commies. That's who you are. It is what it is. Um, so I made a mistake when it comes to this new world order because I said that after the Second World War, U.S. became a global hegemon. That's not true. Now, U.S. did gain a lot of power after the Second World War because, well, for obvious reasons, I guess. European economy was destroyed, and U.S. Was able to, sell them goodies, produce, manufacture, um, become wealthy and prosperous, thereby also building its military might and growing its importance in the world, right? But I completely forgot about because I guess in the back of my mind uh, I had the fact that USSR has always been propped up by the West, right? It is what it is. But be that as it may, USSR, we had a bipolar world order at that time. US wasn't a global hegemon, it was one of two. And we had the Cold War, right? And that was, at the time, that was the new world order, right? And when Bush Sr., I think it was in 1990, 91, 89, made that speech about the new world order coming to pass, right? We had to get ready for a new world order. That was right before or right at around the time that USSR fell, and the signs, the cracks were already visible or whatever. It was falling, right? US was to become a global hegemon, right? The only superpower, essentially the world police, right? Um, the one ring to rule them all, and that was the new world order at the time, right? And now that US's power has been undermined from within also by these commie infiltrators, and I'm oversimplifying calling them commies, right? Israeli, Khazarian mafia, whatever the fuck you want to call them, is not important, right? Now that US has been being imploded from within slowly, and I think the major turning point was 9/11, probably, right? Um, that was us being set up for a new world order, right? So what I think happened is shows like Alex Jones would use um, Bush's speech, right? And they put in your head, they created this idea that new world order is this like organized group. Like, this is how fucking stupid this is, and I believed it too, to a certain degree in the past, right? But this is how fucking stupid this shit is, that this new world order is some kind of like shadow government, global conspiracy of people who just organized in the shadows, and they have a plan mapped out for all societies all over the world, and how society is going to be controlled and administered and shaped from the peasant in the field, or the little factory worker on the street, the little nobody, all the way up to the highest ranks of government, right? They just had this grandiose plan on how everything's going to be organized, and that's this like organization it's called the New World Order, because they're all saying New World Order, and it's this like static, set in stone group of people that are just working from within the shadows, and they own the world, and they're gonna enslave you and all this other shit. No, that's not what the New World Order is. Every few decades we have a new, well, it's in the name, right? New World Order, right? So what these shills like Alex Jones did is they used Bush's speech to confuse you, and to make you think that this is what's happening, right? But at the time they were using this speech, the New World Order, the coming New World Order, that was already old news with U.S. hegemony, right? And this New World Order was going to be U.S. versus China, and well, maybe Russia, right? Maybe India. We'll see. It's being reshaped right now as we speak. It's the pieces on the chessboard are being reshuffled, right? And a new world order will emerge after what looks like World War III, right? So what Alex Jones and shows like him made you, they created in your head, right? This idea of, again, this like static thing, organization with special membership cards, and meetings at the Bohemian Grove and all this other shit. No, no, no. New World Order is just, it's just a order of, well, who the most powerful nation, or not nation state, but country state is in the world, and how much power they have, and whether they are a regional hegemon or a global hegemon, what other regional hegemons they have to compete with, if any. This, it's the order of, well, who's got the gold medal, right? Who's in first place? Who's the most powerful? And then who's number two? Who's number three? That's the order, right? Globally, that's the order, right? So right now, you would say we have two major powers, with Russia trying to compete, and not be a distant third, but maybe a close second if they can, right? The new world order is it's just a concept, right? It's a competition between global powers or regional powers also, who and they're competing for the number one spot and hopefully being the only hegemon, right? That's what these people hope to do. None of them want to be just a regional hegemon, right? But that's how you get to being a global hegemon. First, you have to dominate all the countries in your region before you could dominate other potential regional hegemons or countries in other regions, right? That's what a new world order. There is a new world order every few decades. It's just the order of things, okay? But shows like Alex Jones, in closing, used this, like Bush's speech and maybe certain other people talking about the world order, new world order, um, to make you think that what's that it's the United States, it's the West, it's the Bushes, it's the Blairs, you know what I mean? Um, and that this is static and this is forever so, right? And these anytime anybody says new world order, you immediately think of that, and you think of this organized group, and you know you're against it somehow, as if it even fucking mattered what you think, as if you could stop it, as if that in and of itself meant what your life is going to look like. Had an I mean, it does have an impact, right? But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that the old new world order, right? US as the hegemon, um clearly, obviously, that's way better than having China as a global hegemon, right? Because we know how they treat people in China. Russia's not gonna. No, Russia's failing. Russia's gonna fail, man. It just seems like it anyway. And it's gonna be U.S. and China at the end of the day, and Russia can pick a side. You know what I mean? But and what a lot of these people seem to have gotten keen to it. These world leaders. So now they're no longer calling it the New World Order. A lot of them, right? Because that comes with a whole bunch of baggage, and they don't want to be associated with, the Bushes and the Blairs and whatever the hell. So they're calling it a multipolar world order, right? Or bipolar world order, whatever it is that they have in mind, right? Oh, here it is, CFR.org, right? World order. What exactly are the rules? It's only, it's not that fucking difficult, right? That was the world order at the time, right? U.S., Britain, Soviet Union, and Germany and Japan, right? Germany and Japan got knocked out. Britain kind of went into the shadows, and it became U.S. versus USSR, right? And then the USSR fell, and it was the U.S. And now U.S.'s power is waning. Some people are saying the empire is falling apart, so on and so forth. China's coming into the picture, right? Russia wants to be in a picture. The international rules-based order established after World War II seems to be under relentless pressure, threatening its foundations essentially. If so, what, if anything, can be done to reinvigorate it? The question raises several others a priori. First, what are the most distinctive attributes of the post-1945 world order, right? USSR, US. How did that order come into being, and what explains its longevity, right? New World Order is a concept. It's in flux. It's very dynamic. It could change at any point. You know what I mean? It's not like this. This is how fucking stupid this shit is. And I'm sick and tired of it. And shows like Alex Jones just push this fucking nonsense, right? Because, well, whatever. I don't give a shit. It's it's disinfo, right? It's to confuse you. It's just, I don't know. It, it's not. It is very complex, and we don't know what goes on exactly. But at the same time, behind the scenes, I mean, right, when it comes to the shadow government or whatever. But at the same time, just people coming around and saying that, the Jews, the Rothschilds, the Khazar mafia, and that's who rules. Shut up, shut up. It's so fucking juvenile and stupid, and your brain's been raped by Alex Jones and the like. It is what it is, man. The guy's a fucking shill and a piece of shit. I think at one point he was genuine, but um, they had to bring him into the fold. It is what it is. So the U.S. hegemony, right? When Bush was talking about New World Order, that's what it was at the time. And since 9/11, that has basically been falling apart, right? And a lot of people would say it's no longer does. Now it's U.S. versus China, and they're headed for a collision. And that's going to establish a new world order, right? It's going to be the two of them, or one is going to win versus the other, or they're just going to, I don't know, it might be a new Cold War. I don't know, right? Just going to have to wait and see. But look at this isn't me saying that U.S. hegemony was like great or moral or, you know, but it is the lesser of two evils, because look at what has happened after USSR fell, right, and US became global hegemon, right? People's lives, maybe not in the United States, but globally, right? On average, people's lives have improved, especially in the post Soviet republics or states that were encompassed in the Warsaw Pact, right? In the post Soviet world, a lot of people's lives got better all over the world, right? And now that US is waning, its power is being contested, right? I mean, look at what we've gotten since 9/11, right? The Patriot Act, TSA. I don't know when NSA came into existence, but definitely its role became a lot more important, right? There's been a lot more spying. There's been a lot more. The global model, right, has looked a lot more like fucking communist China or post-communist China, right? It's looked a lot like post-USSR, Russia, Putin's Russia, right? That's a lot less. Your freedom of speech is being restricted, right? Your rights are being taken away. This is the right. So this new world order, in and of itself, doesn't mean anything other than which country is on top, or which countries are competing for the number one spot, or are they content on being 1A and 1B? You know what I mean? Or however that may play out. That's the world order. What what that world order means for people like you and I on the street, right? Well, that does depend on who's in charge, right? So with China and Russia getting more and more power, and US losing some of its power, we all know what that shit's gonna look like. And you could lie to yourself, right? But once again, and I know this upsets you, right? And you can't make any arguments. I'm not saying none of you can make any, but those of you who just get into your feelings and you just spit out, dog whistles, you know what I mean, and just these one-liners or complete and utter lies, things that I've never said, right? We all know, and this hurts. I know it hurts, right? We all know why you don't live in Russia. We all know why you don't want to live in China, and we know why you live in the West. We all know why. Because you prefer it. And the reason why you go against it, well, is because you're nihilistic. And that is the flavor of the day, right? Everyone's a little bit black-pilled and just, well, self-destructive, really, right? It still to this day boggles the mind how many people, even here online, how many influencers are allowed to commit utter fucking treason against the United States, right? And that shit's just like commonplace, everyday motherfucking occurrence. And nothing is done about it, right? Back in the 40s or 50s, maybe even I don't know about the 60s, so many of these people would have been tried for treason. Alex Jones, people like that, treasonous scum. Anyone pushing the dissolution of the United States, right? The breaking up of the United States, and using religion to do it too. is treasonous scum. It is what it is, right? So once again, in closing, and I know this upsets a lot of you because, well, it's cognitive dissonance. There is a reason why you prefer the West. There is a reason why you speak English and only English, a lot of you. And there is a reason why you use the dollar. So much as you bitch and moan about it, right? You ain't going to the Russian gulag. You don't want to live in one of those fucking COVID hotels in China, right? And you're against that model being tested right now in Victoria, Australia, right? You're all against that shit. While at the same time supporting the powers that be that are whose if they are to become the hegemon, right, in this new world order that is to come, that's the model they're gonna spread all over the fucking world. That is the model, right? In the United States and some other places in the world, you see that sneaking in too. But then there's also states in the United States where like fuck this, right? Where else in the world do you see, as fucked up as the U.S. is, where else in the world do you see such a strong reaction to, well, let's just say the COVID model, right? And so many politicians, people in high places being against that. Where else? Where else do you? It's not Russia. It's not China, is it? Right? It's the United States. And, if you have any arguments, right, then you're welcome to leave them below. But lying, making shit up about me, attacking me personally, I'm not even going to deal with you suckers, man. You just getting blocked, erased off the fucking channel. I ain't got time for your fucking tantrums. Go fuck yourself, seriously. Which isn't to say that I'm right about everything, right? But there is a reason why you listen to me, right? There's some reason. Thanks for watching.